So this is really a good big subject everybody's concentrated about. They're really worried about getting licensed. And everybody thinks a license that the black helicopters and the guys in the black suits are going to come after you. Well, there's no black helicopters coming in here, and there ain't nobody in black suits coming in here after you guys. So this is just an informational only. This is so you can make up your own mind, really. Okay? So we talk about certification, registration, and licensing, all right? And I'm just going to do a definition, and I'm going to go through Europe and other countries. Big word here is countries. And then I'm going to start with the United States, and then we have states. So there's a totally difference between the United States and every other country in the world, all right, especially with horse shearers. And this will reflect, we have a lot of, trimmers here, so it affects anybody in the business working on horses. Horse shearers or trimmers, doesn't make any difference what you are. Okay, a professional license. That's what we all think about licensing to be a professional license, okay? Is that, it's official or legal permission to engage in any regulated activity. Now, I want you, when I'm doing this, I want you to read it a couple of times because every one of those little words like regulated and activity all means something in there, okay? And it's very interesting. And before I forget, because I did it to the last group, I forgot them. If you want to find a really good definition on licensing, look up on Wikipedia. Just on Wikipedia, just type in licensing. The first paragraph is a really good definition, really good. I looked it up last night. I was just playing around, and I found it on Wikipedia. If you do it, just type it in there. It comes up a really good definition. Okay, and what's a professional? This is interesting, too. Now, this is a definition of professional. Professional engages for his livelihood in some activity also pursued by amateurs. So we're professional horse shearers, and how many people think you have an amateur working in the stall next to you? We all heard that, right? They shouldn't even be shoeing horses, shouldn't be trimming horses, right? And people undercutting, same thing. Certification refers to the confirmation of certain characteristics of an object, person, or organization. The confirmation is often, but not always, provided by some form of external review, education, assessment, or audit. All make sense? Okay. Accreditation, we heard that word a lot too. You're accredited? Accreditation is a specific organization process of certification. So when you're accredited from one organization, you're accredited by some board, well, then you're certified too by that board, right? Essentially, if you're accredited. Registration. Act of recording a name or information on an official list. So that means the official list of registered horse shearers, say in England, or a registered list of official people in Germany or whatever. You're on a registered list. Document certifying an act of registration. Certifying, the word comes up again and everything, doesn't it? Certifying. Okay, countries with regulations. And most of us know about England and some of Europe, but this is pretty interesting. And this is in all the countries, and and a fellow from Australia just corrected me on the bottom one, but I'll go through this. The UK, England, Scotland, and Wales are regulated. Ireland has their own registration. Japan has registration and licensing. In Sweden, this is interesting. I talked to a fellow from Sweden, and there in Sweden, anybody can shoe a horse. But if you have a horse that needs a toe clip, just a plain old toe clip, or a bar shoe, something like that, that's a therapy action, and you have to be licensed. You can shoe a horse, but if you put a clip on a horse, you got to be licensed. Okay? Now, Australia had a strong movement to require proof of capability. And a fellow from Australia is here to tell me that they had just kind of nixed that. It went by the wayside. So, there. Now, what's interesting here, and this is what in the European Union, European Federation of Farriers Association has standardized all education, training, and testing of farriers in the member countries, which number between 20 and 22. So you take 20 to 22 countries, They have the same regulations, same testing, same education in all those countries. In the United States, not one school talk to another school. There's no regulation. They teach whatever they want. There's no cohesivity right there. That's one difference. Remember, those are countries. The United States is different. In the U.S., and this is something everyone should know. There shouldn't even be a question, but I ask it anyway. In the United States, you have like a doctor, a lawyer, veterinarian that can practice medicine where you're at, or an attorney can practice what attorneys do. Who gives them that license to practice that? Right, the state. A lot be surprised how many people think the feds do. And the feds are going to do this. The feds are going to do that. The feds are going to, it's the state, the county, and the city. And I'll get to that in a moment because the city is what's going to start the whole ball rolling in the United States. The cities are, and counties. The United States, farriers require a license at the racetracks. The Veterinary Practice Act. Anybody not know what the Veterinary Practice Act is? It's every state has one. Okay, this is like the Veterinary Practice Act. All right. There's only 8 states where the farriers are exempt, which is not even mentioned in the Veterinary Practice Act. Okay, those are Alaska, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. Now, there's some parts of the Veterinary Practice Act in some states where it's written in there that you have to be underneath the supervision of a veterinarian. But they don't enforce it. But it's written in there. I forget which states, but there's more than one state. It's written in there, but they don't use it. But it's there. So we all understand that kind of thing. So that's why if you want to find out what's going on or be informed in your state, all you have to do is find it. You can go right online and find the Veterinary Practice Act and see what it is and be informed. The whole thing about this whole thing, I want to get back, you have to be informed. The more informed you are, the better you can make a decision on what you want to do. Trade licensing. Now, I got this from Mr. Lessiter, and this was written in November 24th, 2015, and it was posted in the Business Practices of the American Farriers Journal. Okay. Trade licensing. 25% of U.S. workers are employed in a trade license at the state level. More than 1,000 occupations require a license. There's even a state where they're trying to license people that do sign for people, sign language for a deaf person. They're trying to make them have a license. So if you're signing for somebody, that means like you're doing talking that. Yeah, okay, you have to have a license to do this thing, right? Now, over the past, requirements for license in various trades have grown. Now, this is interesting too. Has grown by 500% in the last 60 years. That's huge. That's huge. And over the past 40 years, there have only been 8 successful attempts to roll back state licensing regulations of specific trades. So you can see how hard it would be to get rid of something that's already on the books, how hard it would be to get rid of it. So if something's coming up in your state and you want it or don't want it, you don't have to lobby for it or against it. And just not just one voice. All right, now this is what happened, and I'm originally from been in California, and this happened in 1977. A good friend of mine, and I didn't go up with him at this time, but my good friend Gordon Hythe and Bernie Chapman, and board members of the California Farriers Association, before it became the Western States Farriers Association, went to Sacramento, California. There was to be a vote on a proposition that a legislator had made for licensing of farriers, and this was a big thing. They were going to license farriers in California. Had to have a license, and this one man was going to bring it up. This is just after actually one person started, and how many people have heard about one person getting something banned, like in a school or something like that, by one person, right? One person started this because I remember I took my track test in 1976, and our track test back then was 3 days long, and that is done by the union, which is no more. And this one man had that changed, so the track testing in California became just a joke for quite a few years. Now it's coming back again where it's getting better. But it did not get a vote, and they were told, the California people were told, to regulate their own. The legislators saw that they had an association, California Farriers Association, and should be able to set standards for the industry. You understand that? They didn't want to touch it, even though one person brought it up and said, well, these guys got it, whatever. Is that they figured that they didn't know what they were going to do or talk about, so they wanted you to set the standards. All right? This is what I'm getting at. Know what your personal opinion is on regulation, certification, licensing. You have to be organized, as one voice won't be heard. And this is what goes back to what we did in '77. Okay, so I hope what I did, my time is up, but I hope what I did was just kind of give you a clue of what all that junk is out there. So it's nothing to really be afraid of, but the more educated you are, the more you think about it, is that you can look up your veterinary practice app. You can look up other things. You can just type it in on your internet.